guys, welcome to the Next Generation podcast, a space run by young people for young people, where we talk about stuff that actually matters to us, whether it's things we deal with every day or big issues shaping our world. Just a quick heads up, some of the things we will talk about today might be a bit sensitive or triggering. If anything makes you feel upset or worried, please don't keep it to yourself. Talk to a trusted adult or check out the services we'll mention at the end of the episode. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get started.
This is Next Generation Podcast, a Sporting Aid project produced by Ragdoll Media, made possible with the help of Safer Streets Bedfordshire, Bedfordshire Community Foundation, Bedford Borough Council, Bedfordshire Police, 4YP UK and Nexus Mentoring.
Hello and welcome to the Next Generation Podcast. I'm Gwen. I'm here with Peter, Miles and Miguel. Today we'll be talking about masculinity. So, Miles, what does masculinity mean to you?
I think masculinity to me means showing masculine traits in yourself.
Elaborate, what are masculine traits?
Okay, so masculine traits is, for me, someone who is a provider, respectful, classy and loving.
Okay. Miguel, would you say that there are any aesthetic traits that come along with being masculine, like looks-wise, in any way whatsoever?
Not in today's age, but if I was to think of a masculine man, I would think quite tall, probably quite muscly, hench. That's about it, really.
Okay. And Peter, to go along with that, can you give an example of a masculine man in popular culture? Someone you know, someone who's in the media or general zeitgeist of the world?
I feel like there's a lot of, in the media, like all the celebrities that are coupled up. I feel like most of them are like masculine people with their couples, and a few friends of mine that are like very masculine, loyal men as well.
Miles, do you necessarily need to be a man to be masculine? And if not, can you provide any examples of people?
I don't think so. I feel like I said before, to be masculine is to have the traits. An example could be, I was going to say my mom, because she too shows masculine traits that my dad would, like telling you off, disciplining you, talking back to like your bullies, bad people, defending you against teachers, stuff like that.
From that point, Miguel, would you say that since Miles said that his mother would be a good example, would you say that these traits are learned behaviours from parents, carers, anyone who is generally in guardianship of you at a young age?
I would say so. It depends which way you look at masculine traits. Your parents teach you values and things like respect and responsibility when you grow up, and if that's seen as a masculine trait, then yeah. But also when you hit sort of like your teenage years and you start like going to school and meeting new people and going off in new crowds, and you learn a lot more about the toxic masculinity, and I suppose that comes into play when you become old enough to start getting interested in girls and stuff like that, or boys, depending. But yeah, I'd say a lot of it is from when you are being brought up and what environment you're being brought up in.
So Peter, a question, a little less of an important question. Out of you three, who's the most masculine?
I feel like each of us are different, but I feel like
Any one guy here?
Yeah, it'll be Miguel. I think Miguel.
Alright, Miles, who's the most masculine guy of the three of you?
Probably Miles, because he's got facial hair.
You have facial hair.
Yeah, but not as much as Miles over it.
Okay, I see. If Miguel, let's say, broke his iPhone and he like threw it from up on that little ledge to the basketball court, and he was like, "That was Miles!" Is that masculine?
I don't think it's masculine because, again, it's that sense of respect. You're not having respect for yourself. You don't have that courage to admit that it was your fault because you're scared that, in a way, you'd feel rejected for showing your emotions. For like, if he was upset, like this phone cost him a lot, he worked hard to buy this phone, because you know iPhones nowadays are expensive, and he was like upset, then for him to blame someone, I feel like it's wrong. It's not masculine. I feel like a masculine person would admit to their wrongdoings.
I don't disagree nor agree, but it's sort of like depending on which way you look at masculinity. So if you're looking at like toxic masculinity and the way a lot of like the older generation, it would be seen as like more aggressive, like big men sort of thing. So if you're looking at it from that way, then it could be seen as a masculine trait, as in like the aggression and not wanting to take accountability. But the way I see it, I agree with you, like being a masculine man or a masculine person is sort of having all your values and being able to take accountability for your mistakes, and that's just how I see it, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Also, I feel like some people, like nowadays, if they break a phone and like they're surrounded by people, they feel the sense of like, if they were to blame themselves, they're like losing masculinity vibes, and they find it easier to blame other people for their damages to make them look like they haven't done anything wrong, so they can keep the image of being a masculine person without having a bad reputation on them.
You guys would say that being masculine infers not having flaws and not dropping your phone?
Stereotypically, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you say that still stands today in your friend groups and this youth club that we're
maybe
in
not
right
in our friend group, because I feel like we're all very aware of and sure in ourselves as masculine men, but in society in general, like a lot of people see you as weak if you're not, you know, like masculine in a stereotypical way. Like you're not big, you're not strong, you're not, I don't know, like into sports or construction, things like that. So it's all about image really, and how you portray yourself.
But why?
I feel like when younger people like get phones and stuff, they see like images of what older men look like, and they feel like they've got to live up to that standard of being this masculine guy that has to look big, be intimidating, make everyone like wary of them, who they are, where they're from. I feel like a lot of young people these days don't see like the other side of masculinity, where there's also being a man but being able to handle your emotions as well. So I feel like a lot of young guys, even older guys, sometimes feel like they can't express their feelings to other people, but they feel like if they do, they're showing like a feminine side or like a female weak side of them.
Seen as less masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like to add, I feel like, yeah, social media has corrupted the way in which masculine is portrayed. I feel like nowadays it's masculinity is shown as a toxic thing. Like for example, we have Andrew Tate. The way he teaches the younger people is like toxic is the way to be a masculine male. You have to be strong, you have to work out, get rich, and abuse your aggression and your strength over like anyone to show and prove that you're the alpha male in different situations.
I see. But on the point of Andrew Tate and other influencers like him, like Joe Rogan, those people have almost degraded. They've gone to beliefs that are further back in time. I mean, we see Joe Rogan specifically supporting carnivores and carnivore diets. That's very caveman coded. And you see Andrew Tate talking about beating women and pimping out girls and having a machete next to his bed. That's really weird and kind of sounds like Jason Voorhees, but that's very 1950s. So why are we regressing, and shouldn't we be evolving from that? Because we were at such a good point. I mean, there were girls with hairy armpits being shown on deodorant adverts. It's crazy. So my question is to you three, why are we going in an Ouroboros? Why are we going in a circle?
I feel like social media has a big play in it. So our generation specifically have grown up seeing all these influencers with, you know, like fast cars, big muscles and loads of money basically, and we all somewhat envy them a lot of young people will copy traits of said celebrities or people around them. Naturally, it's just jealousy really, and you want to have that for yourself, so you'll believe a lot of what people say, what people do, what you see online. And
I also think that, I don't know if it's correct, but I feel like it's from people's backgrounds as well. Like when I look at other boys or men, I feel like it's where they're being brought up, like their parents, like they learn all this stuff from their parents. So if they have parents that get along and like they're all calm and they all like sit down and express their feelings, I think they're the boys or men that are able to communicate with other people and feel when like they need to express their feelings, or when they can tell that someone's upset and they need to speak up. Whereas some people who are brought up in like households where the parents are arguing, they see the side of like, when they vision their dad, they see the side like, oh, you gotta be angry, you gotta be scary, like you've gotta rush all these angers out when you're just annoyed and take it out on people by not like truly expressing your feelings or emotions. So I feel like it's from people's backgrounds as well.
can I jump in there? For me personally, I've grown up with sisters and a mum in one house and my dad in the other. So I've always felt like I had to be the man in the house at my mum's. And then when I go around to my dad's, I felt a little bit more comfortable because I was like, there's another man here. And also that being someone I look up to, I just feel a lot safer as such. Whereas at home, I feel like I had to be a masculine man, like show no emotion and try and sort of be the dad of the house as such.
Miguel, what you said was really interesting, and I think it leads on to the point of, would you consider masculinity performative? You're doing it in front of your female family members specifically because you feel the need to be that masculine figure for them. Therefore, would you say that you were performing almost?
I feel like when I was younger, I always tried to be someone I wasn't around females, to sort of prove a point that I'm this big, like Jack the Lad as such. Whereas realistically, like if I was around my mum or my sisters alone, I could be vulnerable because I feel like they get it. Also, I have a girlfriend, MJ, back at home, and I feel like I can be more vulnerable around her because I feel more comfortable. Men tend to be more comfortable around females or males that are in touch with their feminine side as such, meaning their emotions and their vulnerability, basically. I feel like I can be a bit more feminine as such, stereotypically, when I'm around females, now that I'm comfortable in my masculinity.
Yeah, I agree with the point my girl was making about the families and like the separate parents. As being like you said, the only man in the house, you can see that it must have been hard. That's why when I got asked who I see as the most masculine, I said you, because you can tell that you've like tried to be the person that you weren't when you were younger, but as you've grown up, you've learned and you've got a leader of your dad. So I feel like what you're saying is true, and how I feel like men these days, that when they're comfortable around girls, they can be who they want and they won't have to put the impression on like they need to impress this person because it's a girl. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like vulnerability in your masculinity comes from the lack of role models in your life. As Miguel was saying, when he was in the house where his dad wasn't present, he had to be almost the father, the man of the house. He had to take that role. And then as he was saying, when he's in the house where his dad's there, he's comfortable. And it's only now he was saying that he's grown up, he's comfortable in his masculinity, and he's more in touch with the feminine side of himself around his sisters and his mother, because he's got the role models he needs in his life.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, basically. I feel like when you're surrounded by people that you are comfortable around, you can be in touch with your emotions and your vulnerability a lot more. Yeah. Whereas when you're younger, you don't normally tend to have your own feelings 100% of the time. whereas you like follow the crowd or you get into the wrong stuff. Whereas when you get older and you realise what life's all about, really, you make your own decisions and you feel more comfortable in yourself and in the people that you surround yourself with and the environment you surround yourself with, because a lot of young people will just do what they're told as such. So if you'll say your dad's got a business, he might want you to come along and do it when you're old enough, but you might want to do something else. So when you get older, you can make those decisions and have your own feelings about certain stuff. Whereas when you're younger, you'll probably say, yeah, like, Dad, I'll do that. I want to come work with you.
Would you say that young men specifically, as we're talking about masculinity, need a male figure in their life who is okay with being vulnerable?
Not necessarily, because a lot of people grow up without a dad, and
even then, could that be embodied in teachers, uncles, even?
Yeah, but not a lot of the time, because obviously it's a difficult one, really, because if you don't have someone like that in your life, it doesn't mean that you can't become masculine and you can't be comfortable in yourself. It just means it might take a little bit longer and you might have to do a few wrongs before you get things right, basically. I know people that have grown up without dads or family members and they're comfortable in themselves and they're able to talk to whoever about their feelings and their emotions, but it just might take a bit longer to get there.
Before we started this podcast, we were actually, this is quite off topic, we were talking about characters in media. Do you think that there are good representations of men being vulnerable in media?
I feel like growing up in media, you didn't really see a healthy masculine representation. For like the only representation of masculinity growing up I saw was in films, even like in Disney films. Like the masculinity you see in that is the kings. They want the power. Like in Aladdin, let's use Aladdin for an example. Jafar, he wanted to get all his wishes and he wanted to use it all on power. He wanted to be, you know, that alpha male. He wanted to be the toughest guy in the whole world. When you see like Aladdin, he wanted to use the wishes to better himself, to be accepted, and yeah, in front of everyone.
In films nowadays as well, you see a lot of, it's like mainly the main characters showing off their emotions. Like for example, in like some of the Marvel movies now, you see a lot of the men showing off their emotions. Like for example, in like the movie Endgame, when you see Spider-Man, like he's known to be a superhero that helps his neighborhood, meant to be the strong big guy, but then when he sees Iron Man dies, he cries. Like you see how his emotions change, see the way how he acts, it goes different. You see him ghosting the world. So I feel like nowadays you see a lot of masculine showing off the emotions.
Yeah, and even in like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when you see the difference in fatherhood with Uncle Phil, he teaches the boys to be respectful, honest men. You know, good things will come your way if you do good things. And then when you see his actual father, he's not there. It causes him to be angry, to hate everyone around him, and to show that toxic side of the masculinity. And then, you know, like with Uncle Phil, he's calm with his masculinity. He shows good traits, he's respectful, he's nice with the family members. Media shows both sides, but I feel like growing up it was a lot more
masculine men rather than
masculine men.
Stereotypical masculine men.
Nowadays it's showing masculine as a toxic side.
I feel like they done that in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as well, like brought his dad back in as this sort of bad character to show that you don't always need that father figure to become masculine and sure of yourself, and it could be anyone around you without realising. So Uncle Phil is like showing him the right way, whereas normally if you do have a dad, like you'll look up to him as a masculine man, like, you know, that's your dad type thing. Whereas that's not always the case.
Would you guys say that with media and masculinity and these masculine role models, anyone can be masculine? And would you promote the idea of like masculine as in the values, as in accountability and all that, would you promote that as like something that everyone should be aware of and everyone should exhibit?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it should be taught. People should understand what masculinity is and understand the traits, because growing up you start to familiarize yourself with these traits, and as you grow up they're stuck with you. You show good traits, and that helps with the future generations. You pass on these good traits to create a healthy understanding of masculinity. I feel like if you're not taught this and you're taught from an influencer or a bad masculine character, then it's just not going to be healthy.
What are your thoughts on introducing the concept of masculinity into school settings and youth centres? And I don't just mean the kind of literary masculinity you learn in English, like where in Romeo and Juliet, his masculinity is part of his downfall. He chooses to become more masculine and more violent and kills Tybalt, whilst in Macbeth literally murders King Duncan, somewhat divorces or something his wife, and that leads to his downfall. Would you say that masculinity should be taught in a more positive light, and we can be shown the good aspects of masculinity and not just the ones that make it toxic?
Definitely. I feel like maybe it should be taught around young people, away from the word masculinity. Because I feel like a lot these days, when you think of masculinity, you think of all the downsides of it, so like toxic masculinity and having to be that big man, and that's how I feel like a lot of...
Would you say the word masculinity itself is a deterrent to actually getting to know about it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I feel like the word should just be taken away until you understand it yourself, whereas you hear the word and you think bad straight away. Well, I know I did when I was younger, whereas now I have pride in myself, and when I hear masculinity I think positively. So I feel like it should be taught not as the word, but as like the meaning of the word rather than the actual word. And then over time, when you obviously become older and you learn more about values and vulnerability and emotions, you will understand your own masculinity. I feel like it's different to everyone, and it shouldn't be taught as one thing, as in one word. But I want to ask you about your views as a female about toxic masculinity and masculinity, how you feel about it and how you see it.
I grew up in a predominantly female household. I have one brother, one father, but I have many male relatives. Of crying out loud, one of my relatives, my uncle, he is a bodybuilder, like the ones that like get the fake tan on. It was crazy to see that. I grew up with many and my dad, he did Tang Soo Do, he did Thai boxing. He had like a six-pack when I was a kid. He used to like lift us on our shoulders, and like compared to him, my brother felt pretty inadequate. And I'm not going to speak on his behalf. He's not here. I know that he's definitely less masculine. I think that has to do with the impact that growing up in a female household had on him. He had 3 sisters, one that ended up leaving to go to university and then ended up moving to a different continent, but still he had 3 sisters along on top of his mother and all of his aunties.
So did you see it as more of an image growing up rather than values and emotions?
Yeah. Masculinity was more of an image. I was taught masculine values very clearly. Like I was taught by my dad, I was taught how to defend myself. By lots of my male relatives, I was taught about things like consent and taking accountability and owning up for your actions, especially as someone who like is a queer individual. I grew up having quite a few girlfriends and stuff like that. I grew up being quite like the chivalrous girl, but like still it has an impact. I always had that pressure of feeling like I needed to be aesthetically masculine because I felt like I was inadequate if I wasn't, due to the fact that like I felt like I needed to step up because I felt like I was the only sort of masculine resource that I would really get if I was going to be in a relationship with someone who was also feminine.
After we've had this discussion, has your opinion changed on masculinity? Have you seen it in a different light, considering we've all like opened up about it?
I would say I definitely have a more versed view on it now. I've spent more time with males and boys my age growing up, and it was sort of like they never really opened up to me because I was more of a thing to impress. I mean, I feel like it's nice to hear a perspective where people are actually being vulnerable about their feelings and vulnerable about their expectations. I mean, we hear so much in media about women's expectations to be beautiful there. Every single advert for a makeup thing or deodorant, I'm looking at you, Shaw, for things like that. Whilst very occasionally do we get anything on males and men's self-care. I mean, you have a Gillette advert, you get Gillette, whatever that means for you, but I feel like it should be acknowledged more. I get that, yes, misogyny is a big issue, but sometimes I feel like misogyny is an issue within the people, and if you don't see their own self-hatred or self-loathing, you'll never really get to the issue of, oh, that's why they hate women, you know?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time it's just a front, it's just an image to sort of impress everyone, you know, whether it's social media or in public. It's a lot of younger men especially will just portray themselves that way.
Do you tell your male friends that you love and care for them?
It should be a normal thing. I feel like if girls can say it to their girlfriends, why can't boys say it to their male friends? And I think it's a nice thing. It's not seen as gay, homosexual. I feel like it's seen I feel like it's a masculine trait to show your love for your friends in a nice way.
Do you guys love each other?
Definitely,
yeah. I love these
Okay,
guys.
go on, say it. Go on.
Love you,
Go
boys.
around individually.
Love you guys. Love you.
Alright.
I
Now,
love you.
at the Next Generation podcast, we love you too. Speaking of love, here at the Next Generation podcast, we love you too. We put some resources in the description to help you out with your masculinity, whether it's failing or you love it so much, that so dearly that you just really want to talk about it with someone. And on that note, we'll be leaving. I've been Gwen, Peter has been Peter, Miles has been Miles, and Miguel has been Miguel. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.
This is Next Generation Podcast, a Sporting Aid project produced by Ragdoll Media, made possible with the help of Safer Streets Bedfordshire, Bedfordshire Community Foundation, Bedford Borough Council, Bedfordshire Police, 4YP UK and Nexus Mentoring.